Inutos din ng Pangulo sa SEC.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Samantha Nicole Tabu, your news writer, and welcome to our special report, Bayan Mo, Luis Mo.
And I'm Junior Agantotilla, video editor. We're unpacking a topic crucial to our nation's progress, taxation and the impact of the train law.
I'm Reza Dalida and I'm privileged to guide you through this complex yet essential subject.
And I'm Ramya Simon Bagino. We'll start with fundamentals, the nature, purpose, and legal basis of taxation.
I'm Mark Lesser Nueva. Later, we'll classify the types of taxes and discuss the legal roads to tax escape.
And I'm Lian Carlo. Concepcion. Our reporters will detail the trade law scheme, features, and the structure of our tax system.
Trivia time! The fundamental rule of taxation is that it must be uniform and equitable, a principle enshrined in our Constitution to ensure fairness across all citizens.
That commitment to fairness is our starting point. Riza and Simon, the floor is yours to establish the foundations.
Thank you, Samantha. Taxation is defined as the inherent power of the state to enforce proportional contributions from its inhabitants to support the government's existence and activities. This power is necessary and supreme. In fact, the Supreme Court calls taxes the lifeblood of the nation. Without them, the government would cease to function, underscoring its absolute necessity. We focus on nature and purpose. The nature is dual. It is inherent, exists naturally with the state, and legislative, which Congress enacts the laws. The primary purpose is the revenue purpose, raising funds for public services, but it also gives a non-revenue or regulatory purpose. For example, taxes on harmful products are used to discourage consumption and protect public health. And this shows that taxation is a powerful instrument of fiscal policy. Joining us now is Jaime Bebostardi to further detail the specific nature of this power and the various purposes it serves.
Thank you, Raisa. To elaborate, the nature of taxation power is both plenary, absolute, and legislative. Only Congress can define, assess, and impose taxes, making it a powerful mandate. The purpose of taxation is twofold. Revenue purpose, the core function to fund government operations, infrastructure, and defense. Regulatory purpose, this is where taxation influences society. Examples include protectionism, tariffs to protect local industries, and social regulation. Sin taxes to curb activities deemed harmful to public health. In short, taxation is a legal claim on property, collected by legislative authority, and serve as the essential means by which the states fulfill its roles.
Thank you, Annabelle. The ultimate legal foundation is the necessity theory a government requires to exist. However, this power is always balanced by principle of fairness. In fact, the power to tax is one of three inheritance power of the government, alongside police, power, and eminent domain. Taxation focuses on contribution, while eminent domain focuses on compensation. So, the Constitution ensures fairness to three fundamental principles. First is physical adequacy, sufficient revenue. Second, theoretical justice and equity, based on ability to pay, leading to a progressive system. And third is administrative feasibility, ease of reimbursement. Trivia, equity dictates that the tax rate should be based on a person's capacity to pay, which is why our income tax system uses graduate rates. Joining us now, Claire Villanueva to detail the formal inheritance limits placed on the exercise of this essential power.
Thank you, Simon. I will detail the 5 inherent limitations of the power of taxation, which restrain the government from overreach. Limitation of public purpose. Taxes must be used exclusively for the welfare of the community. Limitation of territorial jurisdiction. The taxing power generally does not extend beyond the Philippines' borders. Limitation of double taxation. This is the principle of fairness that prevents taxing the same property or purpose twice by the same government in the same period. Limitation of non-delegation of taxing power. The power is purely legislative and cannot be delegated except for specific grants to the President and local government units or LGUs. Limitation of exception of government agencies or instrumentality. The government does not tax itself to conserve resources for public services. These limitations are crucial legal safeguards ensuring the power is exercised responsibly.
Thank you, Clary. The 3 inherent powers, taxation, police power, and the eminent domain, are distinct, yet all derived from the state's necessity to govern. Fact. The ultimate distinction between these 3 powers is the nature of the compensation. For taxation, the compensation is the enjoyment of public services. For eminent domain, it is just compensation. The basic principles of taxation, fiscal adequacy, theoretical justice, and administrative feasibility guide legislative process to ensure the law is effective and fair. A trivia. A tax must be a contribution in money levied by the legislature. If the levy is payable in kind or not imposed by law, it is not legally taxed. Joining us now is Jose Acuño to detail the essential characteristics that define a valid tax and reinforce the roles of the government's inherent powers.
Thank you, Lester. We summarize the 3 inherent powers: police power regulation, taxation revenue, and eminent domain acquisition. All are crucial for the government to function. Every imposed levy must meet this essential characteristic of taxes. It is enforced contribution. It is levied pursuant to legislative authority. It is levied upon person, property, or rights. It is payable usually in money. It is levied for the public purpose. A failure to meet any of these standards means the levy is not a valid tax. By adhering to the basic principle, especially equity, the government ensures the tax burden is distributed justly across the population.
Thank you, Jose. Our final segment examines the structure of our taxes and the critical issue of legal compliance. Fact. Under trade, income tax is a direct tax because the burden cannot be shifted, but the value-added tax or VAT is an indirect tax because the business shifts the burden to the consumer. Understanding this is crucial when we talk about forms of escape from taxation. There is a clear line between the criminal tax of tax evasion and the permissible act of tax avoidance. So, before we start, I have a trivia for you guys. The power to impose local taxation is granted to LGUs by the Local Government Code of 1991 or the RA 7160, allowing local governments fiscal autonomy. Joining us now is Mary Soriano to detail the various classification of taxes, forms of tax, escape, and the system of local taxation.
Good afternoon, Lian Carla. Let's start with clarification of tax based on burden.
Direct taxability cannot be shifted. Example, income tax. Indirect tax burden be shifted. Example, VAT exercise tax. Now the crucial distinction in from escape from taxation. Tax evasion, legally using the off-the-beat payment, this is a crime. Tax avoidance, legal using legal means of deduction to minimize taxability. Finally, the local taxation, LGUs, exercise this power through the legal government code the local revenues. Those taxes are collected by the local treasury officer and the visual for founding location. Public service responsibility. Citizens mostly ensure tax evasions, but refrain from tax evasion.
Trivia time! Final trivia. Did you know that 70% of the incremental revenues generated by the train law are allocated for the government's Build infrastructure program?
We thank our anchors and reporters for providing that comprehensive breakdown. We have established that taxes are the lifeblood of the nation and every tax is direct investment in the future of the Philippines.
That is the essence of Bayan Mo, Buwis Mo. We hope you feel empowered with the knowledge that your taxes are not just mandatory contributions, but the foundation of our national development.
I'm Samantha Nicole Tabu, your news writer.
And I'm Gino Regan Tuquilla, your video editor.
Thank you for tuning in. Bayan mo, Buwis mo, ang susi sa pag-unlad.